Welcome back to the Halls of History, everyone, and finally, part 3 of my conversation with Anthony Javorsky, a shareholder of the Green Bay Packers. And don't forget to click subscribe below and the notification bell to always know what is next on the Halls of History. Plus, tune in at the end for the trivia question to get you set for next week's episode, right here on the Halls of History. I had a couple other facts for you. Just not questions. I'm not going to hit you with any more questions, but just for, I guess, your favorite teams. Okay, so as soon as I find where I have this stuff written down, where'd it go? Okay, Green Bay has only ever drafted one player from Marshall, but they have had 5 players throughout their time that they drafted with the name Marshall. How about
Interesting.
that?
That's fun.
Yeah,
That's
so
a fun fact.
so
Was the guy that they drafted, was that Michael Clark? Or they picked him up.
yeah. No, yeah. This was this was a long time ago. This is the kind of rabbit hole I jump down when I get looking at stuff. So the only player they ever drafted from Marshall was a guard in 1964 by the name of Mike Hicks. It was an 18th round selection. It was pick number 251 at the time. Never played. Okay. But there are other draft picks that have the name Marshall. 2010 Marshall Newhouse, a 5th round guard. 2001 Torrance Marshall, a 3rd round linebacker. 1987 Willie Marshall, a 6th round receiver. 1965 Bud Marshall, a 10th round defensive tackle. And 1954 Sam Marshall, a 7th round tackle.
Nice.
Yes. And for your other favorite team, Green Bay has drafted 28 from Notre Dame over the years. And clearly the best one being Paul Hornung.
Paul Hornung.
Yes.
Yes. Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner.
The Golden Boy.
Yes. Definitely, college and pro Hall of Fame honors. I mean, the Golden Boy. I believe their most recent would have been Equanimeous St. Brown.
Yes. Yeah.
I pay attention to those draft picks. I was hoping I could say Michael Mayer, but that was...
Yeah. Well, then we would have had 29.
Exactly.
But no,
that's fun stats.
I tell you, that's, like I said, when I get looking at something, I can jump and just go, way down. And, that's what ends up happening to me. And
so how many players did they draft with the name Notre Dame?
0.
That was probably easy to look up.
Yeah.
Let me research that one real quick.
That one was a big fat goose egg. Well, actually,
Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was actually a little bit easier just because ProFootballReference.com, you open up the Green Bay Packers draft page and you can just hit Control F, find Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. It was all colleges, no names. When I searched Marshall and 6 came up, I thought, really? Oh. But then I see name, school name. I was like, oh, no, there we go.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's a cool stat. I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's what I'm here for, right? Course. That's what I'm here for. That and making you and Brandon go crazy to where you can't listen to Mike Ditka talk anymore.
That is fair. You talk about breaking a glass on that. Golly.
Yeah.
Every time I hear him talk. I have to tell a couple of stories, though, if you don't.
Okay. No, that's fine. We have a fresh 40 minutes now. You probably shouldn't use it all, but,
One of my favorite moments in Scott Hall NFL knowledge history is 2002, fall 2002.
Okay.
Meeting Tony Cook for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And him saying, all right, I hear you're the NFL stat guy. Yeah. Who led the NFL in sacks in 1970, whatever.
Yeah.
Your response was?
They did. It wasn't an official stat until 82. But now, unfortunately, I don't remember what year he said either. But now, because of some research that has been done, I could actually find that out.
Right.
But
it was just funny because you immediately put him in his place and he's like, oh man, he does know everything.
He just happened to ask me a question I knew.
Also, I have to confirm something.
Okay.
In I want to say it was the first video you posted where you were talking about how you became a fan. You were talking about a lot of that stuff behind you. Yeah. And you have those giant NFL encyclopedias. uh,
Yes.
of stats.
Mm-hmm.
I can confirm to anybody out there when Brandon would come to our dorm room and he and I would be playing PlayStation, hanging out, being super immature. You would literally, and this didn't happen once or twice, this was literally multiple times a week for years, would literally just be sitting on your bed reading those stat books like they were a freaking novel. Like, I'm like, Scott, this isn't Harry Potter there, buddy. Like, you don't read it like that. And you would literally just be like, oh, that's interesting. Like flipping the pages and just consuming all that information, or even like looking at the back of players' cards and things like that. I can confirm to anybody that may have doubts, that is literally, as long as I've known you, one of your biggest hobbies of just consuming stats and being fascinated by them.
Well, I've got two bookend, and you can't really see one back here. That was the first one. It's kind of tucked in back there behind Art Monk. But yeah, then number two over here. Yes, that one came with me to college.
Yes,
it
the computer.
It stopped coming with me once the website started to become more prevalent, like NFL.com and Pro Football Reference. Now I no longer needed this giant thing that was going to take up a whole lot of weight in whatever I packed it in. It's a hell of a bookend, though. I got to tell you that.
Oh, yeah. It looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, how often can parents buy a teenager a book for Christmas or their birthday, and the kid gets excited about it?
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh yeah.
I just hope it does some good for me someday.
And I like stats. I'm a stat guy. I'm a stat driven guy. I love reading box scores of baseball games in the morning, but that's like, to do like those types of books, and that's like mind boggling to me. But yeah, I'll never forget, like I said, Brandon and I just playing video games, being immature college kids, and you're just flipping those pages, consuming all of it.
Yeah, it's funny.
And then I would occasionally like peek up and be like, "Hey, did you guys know that?" And like just some random stat, and we'd all be like, "Oh, that's cool." Okay.
Yeah, you talk about, you and Brandon talking about nerd stuff, whether it's the comic books, the superhero movies, and stuff like that. For me, it's been this. Like I totally blanked out on some of that other stuff. I remember going and watching I think it was a Fantastic Four movie with you and Gregg. And you and Gregg afterwards just analyzing the whole thing. And I mean, I got nothing. I'm standing there. And finally, after you guys got done, I just said, I thought it was a good movie. That's all I had.
I will contribute.
That was my only comment. But and I will say, at least it always put a smile on my face when we did go up to the Hall of Fame, especially for the inductions, because they would have so many people volunteering to give you, tours, be a tour guide and stuff. And I remember you guys would whenever somebody come up, hey, do you guys need a tour guide? You guys always, we got one.
We got the best one you don't have hired.
Please hire me.
I'll never forget one late night, just, hanging out in the dorm room, and you going from Super Bowl I to whatever the current Super Bowl was that year, 40, whatever, I don't know, 30 something. I want to say you told me maybe not every final score, but you did tell me who won. I think some cases you didn't know final scores, but you did
the MVP.
Every Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Which was like mind blowing to me, especially. And that's when I learned that old boy from the Cowboys was the first player to be on the losing Super Bowl team.
Chuck Howley. Yep.
Chuck Howley.
And he's now going to finally be a Hall of Famer.
Yes. That was when I was like, oh, wow, I never knew a guy on a losing team won a Super Bowl. But I'll just little things like that where I'm like, this isn't normal, dude. It's cool, but it's not.
And I think that's what helped me when once I took the job as an SID in building up the softball record book. I scoured through as many box scores as I could go back to, and that record book's now over 130 pages. I wanted things correct. And, also since I was broadcasting games, there were so many things I also wanted to know for my own purpose.
Right.
And, you'd start to think, okay, well, this player has done this many times. How many has anybody else done? Is she now a record holder? Is she chasing somebody? And so then I would start looking those things up. That led to more stuff. That led to more jumping down the rabbit hole. And well, there you go. That was one of the things too, that at least with broadcasting games, I definitely don't mind, is the research. I love doing the research. And that's where, I reading the back of football cards. That's why I'm actually a little disappointed in a lot of the new ones. They have hardly any information on the back of them. It's not like what they were when we were kids.
Sports cards in general, and I don't collect anymore like I used to when I was a kid and different things like that. But now they're more about, the design and what makes them rare and things like that, as opposed to just being a card with the player's action shot or like some awkward like posed photo with the stats.
Well,
they'll
still do some of the pose photos wrong side. With the rookie photo shoots.
Right.
I don't know if Jordan Love's is. That actually looks like it might be from a preseason game. But some of the other ones are a little awkward. And it drives me nuts with some of that stuff, because I'll look up and I'll see there have been infinitely more Joe Montana cards after he retired than when he played. Because you have so many sets now where it's like, okay, we included him in this set, but guess what? There's also a purple variation. There's a blue one. There's one with green writing. There's one with a red background. A
hologram.
They'll make 12 different parallel sets, and I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is insane. Why are you doing this to me? Anthony, glad I could have you on.
Absolutely.
It's been so long since we've really been able to talk football. It was actually kind of strange to watch the Super Bowl this year and it not be with you, Brandon, Gregg, or heck, even Andy, because I watched the Super Bowl with Andy when the Pats came back on the Falcons.
Oh, yeah.
I remember we got to halftime and Andy's sitting there laughing. He's like, man, don't tell me Tom Brady's going to have this awful game. I was like, oh, no. I said, hang on, man. I said, look, if New England wins this game, I said, I'm going to be just laughing hysterically. I said, because this is, and sure enough, there they went. But
usually Super Bowl, some chicken, pizza.
Yep.
How it was done.
And me looking up stats and figures for you.
Yes. And you answering all my questions.
Yeah. Folks, here we go. Anthony Javorsky, a certified part owner of the Green Bay Packers. Yep, it's right up above his head. You can see that there. And of course, he had the shirt as well. Now, I got to ask you real quick, did the shirt come with that?
No. Nor did the frame.
Well,
so it you get the certificate in a nice it is actually, I have it over here on the bookshelf with a few other memorabilia pieces in a cool little paper. Actually, no, it's framed behind it, so I wouldn't lose it. So it just kind of came in like a little paper folder type thing. I purchased the frame through when you become a shareholder, you get access to a website, like a web store that only shareholders have access to. To which I purchased the frame, the T-shirt I'm wearing, a little magnet that sits in my desk in my office at work, and a beer koozie. So you get the essentials, really. And so and there's like a lot of other like really cool things that you can purchase that no other fan has access to. But
to me they shouldn't.
Right, exactly.
I shouldn't be able to go on and buy a Packers owner T-shirt because I'm not one.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like a cool little like perk that allows you to spend more money. But I haven't yet this year. I don't know if they've been sent out or not. But last year in the mail, I come home from work and I open up my mailbox and there's this thing with the Packers logo on it. I'm like, what's this? And I open it up, and it was my invitation to the owners' meetings at Lambeau Field. Oddly enough, it was actually when I was in Milwaukee, but I was there for work, and it was on like a Monday and a Tuesday, and I couldn't be in the two places at once. So it was kind of like bittersweet that I was 2 hours away from Green Bay and I couldn't go. But so like there's like little perks like that it's kind of cool. Like they have like little shareholders meetings and different things like that, which is, it's fun. Just again,
Oh yeah.
something that a fan of the Detroit Lions can't say that they have. Which actually, when I got this, I texted a buddy of mine who lives in Troy, Michigan. He's a big Lions fan, and I was like, "Hey, look, I'm a Packers owner." He's like, "Oh, that's cool. I wish I could own the Lions." And I was like, "Actually, I own the Lions also." And he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" So I sent him this picture a second time and said, "See right here, this is my ownership of the Lions because Green Bay owns Detroit." And I own Green Bay, so thus I own Detroit. And he's like, "I hate you." Like, come on, dude, I hate you. So, but yeah, it's just fun. It's just the coolest piece of sports memorabilia, bragging rights. Like I said, it's kind of like the centerpiece in the room that I'm in now, and
Yeah.
just it's something that I think's just cool. It's a cool piece of history.
And any last words for the viewers?
No, I hope people enjoy hearing us talk as much as you and I enjoy talking to each other. And I hope to, be on again sometime to talk football again in the future. And yeah, listen to this man. He knows his stuff, and he trust me when I say he has researched it. He's not just shooting.
And I know everybody likes to say that I know everything. I know that I don't know everything. Right. And I have loved when you have stumped me, because that gives me something new to look up. I love that stuff. Like I remember you even asking me about like the postseason Charles Woodson was having one year. You asked, has anybody else done this with interceptions? What did I do? I got on and I started looking. I started totaling things up. And because I didn't know, and it's like, ooh, I got excited. I was like, here's something new I can go look up.
I will remember the time that you kept the journal of every interception Brett Favre threw.
Every player who picked one off.
You wanted to know every player who picked Brett Favre off after he set the record of
past George Blanda. Yeah.
And who had the most, like who picked him off the most.
Yeah.
And I remember that was just something that you just kept adding to it, up until he retired. And you just leave little things like that where I'm like, okay, this dude takes it that serious. I appreciate that.
I love the information. I do. And unfortunately, it's been so long since I looked at that. I don't remember the answer. And the bad part is it was probably saved on something so old that it wouldn't even be able to come on to a new computer now. So maybe that gives me some new research to do again.
I'm pretty sure this was old school pen and paper. I'm pretty sure you had a spiral notebook with that.
No, actually, I had it on the computer.
Okay.
I did have it on the computer.
Okay.
Maybe because it was so many pages in the Word document that made you think that I just had it in a notebook. I do obviously keep a lot of things in a notebook. Where's even just to show real quick again. Is this? Nope, that's the wrong one. Where's my old softball notebooks? We talk about writing down everything. When I'm at a game, here we go, folks. I write down, I'm trying to see if I can get the light on that just right. I write down every pitch.
Wow.
Everything that happens in the game. And, when you're an SID, it actually can save you sometimes because the computer doesn't always keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, now granted, Zoom cut off on us, in here, but I kind of knew that was coming, unfortunately, but sometimes those computer programs don't always work out. And this has been a lifesaver. And it also is pretty damn good during a broadcast. So, and I would have an entire season in one notebook, and then the next season, get another notebook. I still have the notebook from from the 2017 season when Marshall softball was ranked. So still have all of that.
Heck of a run this year. Run this year.
Yes, they really did. They were unbelievable. I wish they would have had a chance at the NCAA tournament, but yeah, we'll see how that goes, hopefully in the future. But
hopefully this is just a sign of things to come.
Yes, exactly. Great team, great players. It'll still be right. They're going to lose Sydney Nestor and Grace Chelman, a couple of big time players, but they've got heck of a group of youngsters coming up behind them. Alex Coleman, Autumn Owen still has one more year. Brooklyn Ulrich, Bub Faringa. I mean, I could keep going. So, but we'll go ahead and cut this before Zoom wants to cut me off again. But thank you all for tuning into the Halls of History. And of course, Anthony Javorsky, thank you for coming on, a part owner of the Green Bay Packers. Wish I had a trivia question to go ahead and ask you all right now to get you started for the next episode. You know what, though? I'll find out if people were paying attention. So here's one for you that I'll go ahead and ask you. That'll get you set up for the next episode after this. Who was the very first player to rush for 1,000 yards for the Green Bay Packers? Anthony, you cannot answer right now. But I did just say that a little bit ago. So we'll see if you're paying attention. And in the next episode, give the answer and talk about his story. So there we go. All right. Thanks for tuning in on the Halls of History. So there you have it. My conversation with Anthony Javorsky, a part of the Green Bay Packers ownership team, and of course, a longtime friend. Don't forget, folks, to click subscribe and notifications to always catch what is next right here on the Halls of History. Until next week, NFL history fans, but you can always catch up with previous videos.